This is Wrecked, the bonus episode where I either recommend a book or I wreck it. On today's episode, I bring you Harry Potter and the Cursed Child by J.K. Rowling, Jack Thorne, and John Tiffany. Now, before I start talking about the book, I want to put it out there that I really didn't like The Cursed Child. I've been a Potterhead since, even before I knew what a Potterhead was. I read the first book when I was about 13. It was recommended by a friend because I really liked reading as a child as well. And there was a friend of mine who asked me, "Have you read Harry Potter?" And when I said no, she was quite surprised by it because I liked reading so much and Harry Potter was so famous. So I went to the school library and I got the book. And after that, every time I saw that friend, I would go on and on and on about Harry Potter because I liked it so much. I owned, I think, 2 books when I was a child. The rest I always got from the library because the books were quite expensive. And the 2 editions, which are the Prisoner of Azkaban and The Order of the Phoenix, which were the only books that I had for a very long time. They were read so often that the Portuguese editions that I have are completely broken. They're really ugly, and especially because I loved snacking while I was reading the books, and I kept going back to them. Even though I got books from the library very often, sometimes I just felt like going into the Harry Potter world over and over again. I read the Prisoner of Azkaban so often that most people say it's their favorite book, but I'm done with it. Like, I would read it again. I'm not saying that I wouldn't read it again, but I've read it so often that it's maybe the book I like the least nowadays because of so many times I read it. And I was really excited when I heard that there was going to be something else made with Harry Potter. Because I tend to be optimistic about this thing. Same thing when a book is turned into a movie. I always go into the cinema thinking this is going to be good, and I'm happy that they're making something else with something that I love so much. But when I got The Cursed Child and I really wanted to read it, I knew that it was going to be written as a play, and that's usually not a problem. I've read plays at school and it's fine. They're easy to read because it's just dialogue. But the more I got into The Cursed Child, the more I realized I've read better fanfiction. And I haven't even read a lot of Harry Potter fanfiction because Harry Potter is the kind of fandom that it has been in my life always, and it still is. So it's the kind of books that I tend to go back to and that I've always loved. But I usually read more fanfiction for BBC Sherlock, just put out there, and I've written fanfiction for BBC Sherlock, but I've always loved Harry Potter, and I've read some fanfiction, and The Cursed Child was so far-fetched, and the dialogues just didn't click. I think what bothered me the most about the book was that the characters are not the characters. I'm not saying that I'm a great writer. It's not what I'm trying to claim here, but even I could have written better characters, better Harry Potter characters, more in character than The Cursed Child. I know that J.K. Rowling didn't really write it. It was Jack Thorne and John Tiffany, but she approved of it. And I don't understand why, because the characters are so out of character. Hermione became the Minister of Magic. Now, I know that maybe with the whole spew thing, it may kind of seem like she would pursue that, but I don't see Hermione as the Minister of Magic. And usually, every Minister of Magic in Harry Potter is a crook. They have, true to life, really. And they usually have like this set intentions. They're very cunning. So I wouldn't expect Hermione to want to do that. I would expect Hermione to want to make a change in the world, but I don't think she would do it so through politics this way. I don't know. That's something that I wouldn't put Hermione as Minister of Magic, although to be fair, a lot of people also complain that Harry Potter would never be an Auror. And I did accept that in the books. Then, of course, just by the way, I just want to say that I did not reread the book in order to talk about it here because I didn't want to waste my time. I've read it once, reread passages, didn't like it. I didn't really want to spend more time reading The Cursed Child when I have so many other things to read. But I did take notes and I went back to some pages because I knew what I wanted to talk about. And one of the things that I think bothered me the most in it was when Harry told Albus that he wished he wasn't his son. Like, Harry Potter was abused, psychologically abused, all of his childhood. Like, until his teens, actually, until he actually left the house of their aunt and uncle. He was always abused. And I don't think, actually I'm sure, that Harry Potter would not do us this dirty. He would not go on to tell his son that, oh, I wished you weren't my son. When he was like, it was different. People were looking at him because he was Harry Potter. He was in a position he didn't want to be. And he knew the struggle of people expecting something from him that he couldn't give because he was just a boy. And when he says this to his son, I just wanted to throw the book across the room. Harry Potter would not do that. A lot of the characters, when I am reading them, like actually most characters, the old characters, Hermione, Ron, Ginny, Harry, like they don't sound like themselves. They don't sound like the characters in the books, because when you read the 6 books, you recognize the characters. You recognize them in the dialogues that they have. And this whole Cursed Child, it's a play. So you mostly have dialogues and theater cues, and the dialogues don't sound true to life. They don't sound true to their characters. Then this bothered me immensely. Like I said I could write better characters, more in character than this. Another thing that bothered me is J.K. Rowling had to deal with so much criticism regarding the time turners and how, like, okay, we can use time turners for Hermione to go to school, and later on, even to save Sirius. But we cannot use time turners to change the course of what happened between, like, Voldemort and the Potters, or just Voldemort in itself. Why, if you have a time turner and you can stop Voldemort from creating his Horcruxes or whatever, why don't you use it? Why can't you save Sirius Black, but you can't change the course of history before that? Because like everything that happened before led to Sirius Black being caught. So she was so criticized, and yet she allowed, I'm not sure who wrote, if it was just Jack Thorne or John Tiffany, like together, if one wrote more than the other, but how could J.K. Rowling allow them to actually go and get the time turners again? And then they get to the story, and there's like, oh, there's one time turner which was not destroyed. And then stuff goes bad, and apparently, oh no, wait, there is another time turner, just the 2. Like, exactly the amount of time turners you need are there. The rest was destroyed. But those 2, not 1, but 2, are available. What? Like, why? Why would you do this? Like, it's a lot of people also criticize, for example, J.R.R. Tolkien with the Eagles, and I understand why. And this is a bit like that. This is, I forgot, there is a term for that I actually forgot. It's something with God. Deus Machina? Ex Machina? Deus Machina? Something like that. I forgot the term, but there is a term when something happens that kind of solves everything. And like it doesn't really add anything. It doesn't even go get something from the plot from before. It just happens right there and then and makes everything perfect. And this felt a bit like it. Like, why, first of all, why would you get the time turners? Second of all, why like 2 time turners? Couldn't you think of something better? Couldn't you come up with another plot device? Another thing that bothered me a bit was Bellatrix having a child with Voldemort. Like, Voldemort would never want anyone to inherit anything from him, even less his powers or the possibility that someone would be, for example, as good as him or overtake him. Voldemort was focused only on one thing: to become immortal and to become, okay, this is two things, to become immortal and to become the most powerful wizard in the world. I don't think he had in his mind getting it on with Bellatrix Lestrange, because I think he didn't like her. I think he just tolerated her. She was crazy about him. She was actually obsessed with him. Not even, I can't really call it love, because she is obsessed with her and the power figure that he is. But I don't think he liked anyone. Everybody was a tool that he used to reach what he wanted to reach. And Bellatrix as well. She was very faithful, which was very convenient to him. But he, like I said, tolerated her, didn't really accept her as more than just a faithful servant. So just the thought that they would get it on, it doesn't make sense. It doesn't make any sense. Like everything about this book is kind of nuts, except maybe I really like the relationship and the friendship between Albus and Scorpius, because I think that is nice. It's nice to put, okay, these two people used to be enemies and now they're children, best friends, and Albus is in Slytherin. I really like that, but everything about the rest of the plot is just freaking insane, and I really disliked it, and I just wanted to put it out there for all of you. And sometimes, I'm reading something online and I'm like, what the heck are they talking about? This never happened. What? And then I kind of remember, oh yeah, it was the Cursed Child. But I do not see the Cursed Child as canon. And I know I'm in denial because there's nothing I can do. The book exists. J.K. Rowling says, yeah, this happened and this is true. But for me, everything that happened in the Cursed Child, I don't see it as canon. I don't see it as something that is part of the story. That, for me, that didn't happen. That it doesn't exist. It's just something that someone wrote to make a Harry Potter play. But that's just that. It has its own world, and it does not fit in the Potterverse. And I know, again, that I'm in denial, but this is how I look and will always look at the Cursed Child. It's as a side story that has no connection to the main story. Let's call it fan fiction. I would be willing to accept some better fan fictions, but not the Cursed Child. So, yes, I am wrecking this book today. Please let me know what you think of it. You can leave comments on my Instagram account. I'm going to make a post about the Cursed Child and about the podcast, about this bonus episode. I'm also a bit late on the episodes because with this quarantine thing, my mind has gone into vacation mode. And even though I actually have more time than I used to have, because now I'm working like 2 days a week since I still have the job at the bookshop, but the bookshop even is closing earlier, so I have more time. My mind is like, nope, you're on vacation, you're not supposed to go out, so you are not going to do anything. I've even been reading less, even though I did pick up 2 books that I'm not enjoying that much, so I think that's what's keeping me from reading more. But because of this quarantine thing, I've just taken more time and it's taking me longer to put up these episodes. So the next episode will still come out this month, but maybe next week or so. So let me know. Go to my comments on my Instagram and let me know what you think of it. I would really like to hear opinions of people who really liked Harry Potter, especially people who liked The Cursed Child. And why did they like it? What they would change? And the people who didn't, why they didn't like it. If you enjoyed the episode, don't forget to subscribe. You can find all of my social media on linktree/Carina Pereira. I'm now doing some extra texts about language, talking about Dutch expressions, because I've been studying Dutch for about 8 years. I've been living in the Netherlands for 6 or 7 months now, but I lived 8 years in Belgium. So I've been busier on Medium, and my bookish account on Instagram I'm always posting something, so you can get updates and new episodes every time they come out. And please stay tuned after the song, after the little outro. How do you say? You say intro? Do you say outro? Well, the exit outro, whatever you want to call it, song. There's a little blooper from today's episode because I was recording it with my boyfriend on the side first, just testing the equipment, and I was talking about Harry Potter, so I think you'll like it. I will talk to you, I hope, next week or in a few weeks for a new episode of A Story of Sorts. Talk to you then. So, today I'm going to talk shit about
Debbie.
No, I would never talk shit about Debbie. What?
Oh no, you never do that.
What do you mean? I never talk shit about Debbie. I just say sweet things about Debbie, even when I call her lazy, is with love. No, today I am going to talk shit about the cursed child.
That's true, you don't talk shit about Debbie, you talk shit as Debbie.
As Debbie? No, but I only talk shit as Debbie about other people, especially myself. I only talk like shit, as in, like, what is Debbie thinking about me right now? Which, I'm not saying it's something that worries me a lot. Just putting it out there, it doesn't worry me at all. I don't care. I wouldn't pay to read her thoughts. But it's like, that's different. I'm not saying shit about Debbie. It's Debbie saying shit about me through myself. It's maybe a self-reflection or something.